Hey everyone, welcome to another podcast, the Marketing 101 for chiropractors, and this one's for everyone. Michael McLean, thanks for joining us this week. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome, Doctor. Great to be here.
Yeah, we're going to dive into email. I've been talking about this for years and how to build your list. And Michael, maybe you might listen to him and maybe listen to a different Canadian because you don't like this one. That's fine. But listen to him for once, people. Please build these lists and listen to how much money you can possibly make by doing this. Awesome. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. What I kind of talked about emails, but what about your past? What got you into all this? I like your story. Tell the folks what got you into all this.
I thought I was going to coach hockey in the National Hockey League. I was actually coaching minor pro and junior A in university. When my friends were working at the pub or at the Subway, I was coaching hockey full time. So I managed to get a psychology degree. And when I came out of university, I had my first minor pro job waiting for me. After 3 years of coaching minor pro, coaches are hired to be fired, as you know, and I was fired after my third year. I returned home and I was sitting at the kitchen table a few days later, licking my wounds, talking to my dad, who was an entrepreneur for over 45 years. My dad actually worked to the age of 85. And he said to me, I was getting ready to go back into hockey, find another job. And he looked at me and he said, any fool can make money, son. He said, it's how you make it. And what he was talking about was lifestyle business. And I was in my mid-20s at the time, so lifestyle did not come into it. He said, let me ask you a couple questions. He said, how many cities have you lived in the last 4 years? And I said, 4. He said, how many owners have you worked for in the sport? I said, 4. He said, how many times have you been fired in the last 4 years? I said, 1 time. He said, looking down the road a little bit, when you're married, which you're not, and you don't have any children, he said, what kind of a lifestyle will that be for the family, for your family? And it was the first time, Doc, that I even thought about beyond myself. And he said, he says, there's no doubt about it, you're going to coach for a living. He said, but I'll tell you right now, he said, your children are going to be like army brats. He says, they're going to go to 15 schools. Your wife is going to pack up the house every 2 years, and you're going to have to move from city to city to do this. He said, what about entrepreneurship? And my dad ran his own insurance company, his own general store. He started from the ground up. And he said to me, what about testing the insurance business? He says, because entrepreneurship is coaching just as much as hockey. He said, try it for a year. If you like it, I'll teach you from the front door to the back door. If you don't like it, you can always go back to coaching hockey. Then he said, but after a year, if you do like the insurance business and entrepreneurship, he said, let's make an agreement where you can purchase the family business and we can go from there. And he said, the other side of it too is he said, you can always buy your own amateur hockey team and you can fulfill that obsession you have, but you'll be your own boss. So that was the lifestyle discussion my dad had with me at the kitchen table in my mid-20s. And ever since then, I've coached my own junior teams where I was the owner and the coach, but I've also been a 7- and 8-figure entrepreneur. And today I coach small business owners.
Great. Yeah, I can relate with the hockey. It's amazing. It's great. And I'm sure your story is deeper. But that's taught you a lot, right? It's taught you a lot about entrepreneurship, about business, about customer relations, about retaining a client, more important, retaining a client than getting a client. But we're going to talk about how email is both. It's how you build and nurture relationships, right? So email is amazing because email's been, how long have you been using email from? When's the first emails you used to send?
I sent my first emails when I had a window washing company with just me and a squeegee. And I was making $1,000 a week. I had one of my high school buddies who was on my payroll. And one day a week, we would go down the 2 main streets in our small community, and we would wash windows weekly, $10, $15, $20. And I would generate over $1,000 a week with all the places on Main Street. And all I would do, Doc, was walk into the door and get the $10, get the $20, and upsell anybody that week that didn't have their windows washed. It was so cold in the winter months, I would just put antifreeze in the vinegar and water, and I was washing windows 52 times a week when I was in high school. So that was my first small business. That was a 1-employee business. Email was just coming out then. So I would go to the business owners and I would say, what's your email? so that I can communicate with you. And I had some people that were every week, some people every month. And we would use the very introductory email in those days. And I had an email list of about 200 small business owners in our area. And I would email them once or twice a week, letting them know I would be around on Wednesday at 4 o'clock after school. And then I would do specials at Christmas and Thanksgiving, little things like that. So I started email as soon as it was available, and I've never stopped using it ever since.
Yeah. So, for the last few decades, email has gone up and down like the stock market as far as utilization. But if you understand the stock market, there is never a down. So by playing the email, it works really well. Like especially like I feel like the COVID time, last 5 years, it was almost people were ignoring email. It was almost you had to bombard them. And so the people that won, or the companies that won, were the ones that emailed multiple times a day. That's how you get to the top of the list. And it's hard for small business owners to really get their heads wrapped around this, but they're mass marketing to millions of emails. It's a different system. You in your small business may have a smaller list, or at least you have a list. Gee whiz, let's get into all the people that don't have a list. I just onboarded a coach right now. He starts with me, or a chiropractor that's coaching with me next week. He doesn't have a list. He never took anyone's emails. He's been practicing for 12 years. I'm like, okay, I'll teach you how to get these emails. But yeah, and then I hang up. I'm like, oh my word, this is not what I got into coaching for. But anyways, he needs a list. So what's the importance of building this list? I think everyone needs to see the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow in order to give it a shot. So what's the pot of gold? What's the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if you build an email list?
Well, there's two prongs to email. Email is the honey that brings in the money. It's the eighth wonder of the marketing world. Email goes in and out of style, but it's as effective as it was 20, 30 years ago. And it's actually a buyer's media. So people are used to buying on email. The two prongs are present bank and future bank. So those are the two ways that you can get paid as a chiropractor or as a small business owner. Present bank is the money the email brings in that day or that week. And the future bank, which most people never think about, when I sold my insurance agency in 2017, I had built an email list from dead zero to 62,000 names. When I sold my insurance agency, I said to the guys at the end of the deal, I said, by the way, would you be interested in my email list? And they knew that I marketed by email. And they said, absolutely, because I said, it's not part of this sale. And they said, how much do you want for your email list? Because I was going to sell it somewhere else. I said, I want $500,000 for it, non-negotiable. So they looked at me once and twice and they said, sold. So even though I sold my insurance agency, which was my life work for 17 years, my email list was worth $500,000. And at the time, Doc, I really undersold myself. Because when I built that thing up from zero emails, we would add 3, 4, 5 emails a day. Over 17 years, we got to 62,000 and counting. Anytime I would send an email, whether it was Happy Thanksgiving, whether it was Happy Easter, sometimes I'd give away football tickets, movie tickets, free pizzas, whatever I did, that email would generate $5,000, $10,000, up to as much as $25,000 in insurance sales, just by me showing up as a friendly person. And that's the thing people don't think about. That email list paid us in present bank for 17 years. Anytime we were wanting referrals or we needed cash, I would send an email, but I never really thought about it. When I got to the end of my career in the insurance business, a friend of mine said, make sure you sell that asset. Don't give that to those guys. And I sold it for $500,000. So the question I get all the time in consulting, because I've been in the window washing business, I've been in the barbershop business, I've been in the insurance business, and I've been in the hockey business where I actually own the team and have to fill the arena every day. They say, what's the number one thing you do, Michael? And it's always been the same. No matter what industry, Doc, I ever entered, the very first thing I did, and it was the only thing I did, I started building an email list from zero. And then I started emailing it consistently once a week, twice a week. And then I sold products that help people. It was that simple, a three-pronged approach. Build the email list from nothing and then email it consistently, which was once or twice a week, and sell them the products that I believed in that helped them. And that's the way I've done it in every business I've been in, including the hockey business.
Yep. I mean, hook, line, sinker, we're done. I mean, that's what it is. So the value of, I think let's go through the value of that name, first name, last name, email, sometimes phone number. Getting that information, the value of that prospect, retained customer, potential customer is worth more than any type of marketing you can do to try and get that. You're given this information some way, somehow, by contact, by actually meeting the person digitally or in person. There's an emotional response to them giving you this information, other than social media where they just dump their information in there. They typically, you can tell they use AOL.com. It's their extra account that they never check for all these promos that they use all the time. But when it's a relationship builder, they're not giving you the AOL.com email. They're giving you the one that they regularly check because you built a connection with them. So this list has so much emotional value behind it. And you just put a price tag, undervalued price tag, to what happens when after 17 years you have a whole bunch. So the doctors out there listening, you're going to work for 17 years. I hope you do. I hope you work for a lot longer. Imagine the potential there of what can happen building the asset of your business. At the very end, you can pull this. I didn't even think about that with Michael. Don't even include it in the sell of your practice. Say, here, you get everything in the practice. And by the way, I've got a list with 40,000 clients in it that's non-negotiable on the side. And this is how much I want for it. Holy crap. That's an amazing asset value that you're building there. So that's my take on email and the connection that you have with these people, is that they've given it to you one way or another. That's organic. The non-organic stuff is like pulling teeth. It's tough to get that information. And when you get it, you may get a lower response rate on that. And you can test this in emails. When we've done it, that's why I know what I'm talking about. You get a lower open rate with that. You get a very high open rate in an engaged email list. We get 60% open rate, sometimes 65% open rate, because those are our current patients that love the content we send them. And that's what you just got to keep nurturing over time. Very simple to do. The excuses of not being simple drive me bonkers. When you're coaching businesses, what are the top one or two ways that you get them to build their list? What are the top two tips that you have for them or their team to be top of mind for building the list at all times?
Well, non-negotiable behaviors. So with my chiropractic, with my doctors, with my dentists, with my small business owners, the biggest hurdle to get over is I tell them, okay, if you're no good at this, if you're no good at email marketing, every email is worth $4. That's if you're no good at this. If you say to yourself, well, I'm not very good at writing, every single email is worth a minimum $4 to your business. So think about somebody walking into your clinic and your receptionist doesn't bother to capture the email. She just stole $4 from you. If you're good at it, like most of my doctors are, that email is worth anywhere from $40 to $100 per year. $4 to $100 per year. So that's what I've learned over the last 30 years, that the email is worth money. So what I teach my clinic owners and my small business owners, non-negotiable behavior. So if a person walked into my barbershop or a person walked into my insurance agency on our Main Street businesses, my receptionist, the very first thing they do is they capture the person's contact information. In other words, email, their cell number and whatever. I am now, so that's physical. Now, if the person phones our barbershop or phoned our hockey team, or we would capture the email. And if a person visited our website, we set it up where they had to give their email to get a copy of my book or a copy of the quote or to book their haircut. So there was no way a person could do business with us without giving us their email. Now, the bonus is then human behavior, as you know better than anybody. I started rewarding my people. I started paying them $1 per email. And you should have seen this. Every month, I would go to my receptionist and I would say, well, you captured 470 emails this month. And she would have a bonus for $470. And the same thing with people in person. But I just made it non-negotiable behavior. And I said to them, I said, listen, these emails are worth $4 to $100. And if there was any friction, and this is the biggest excuse that doctors and dentists and entrepreneurs and small business owners like us make. Well, what if they don't want to give the email? And I used to say, are you crazy? Well, first of all, it's an email newsletter that they're subscribing to. So when a person says to me, well, why do you want my email, Michael? I used to say, so that I can add you to my email newsletter. And then they say, what's the email newsletter? I say, well, it's where I do games, trivia, giveaways, Christmas gifts, information. And 99.9% of people out of 100 docs say, absolutely. It's the same as my email list here. Like my email newsletter is at brassballssecrets.com. So anybody on here that wants to join my free email, they can at brassballssecrets.com. But I also allow people to download my book for free as well. So we had no problem with friction in the barbershop business. We had no friction in the insurance business, because when the odd person asked, what are you going to use my email for? We told them it was to add them to our free email newsletter. And that's the way we did it, but non-optional behavior.
Yeah, love it. The team I love the thing. I'm bringing that into my business. Non-negotiable behavior. That's so important. Like there's just non-negotiable with that, or like Trump used to say on his show, you're fired if you don't do this. Like that's literally what non-negotiable means. So you got to create that culture in your team. Not only, email is fantastic, capturing content, but maybe for chiropractors, if you have systems and procedures, what's non-negotiable in your business? Make sure you stand to the highest on that, because it makes or breaks your business. I mean, these things, and list them. I mean, if you do virtual consults, or if you do tours of the office prior to all new patient, whatever it is that you do, stick with it. These are non-negotiable things that build the emotion behind it. And you probably agree with this, Michael. When you meet someone face to face, right off the bat, you're at the advantage, because it's hard to say no. It's just hard to say no to something like that. Can we please have your email? It's really tough to say, please buy this car. Well, maybe you might get a no, but when it comes to an email and it's one-on-one, that's such a low friction thing for someone to say yes to.
And I mean, I provide scripts for all my small business owners, so that they're never saying, can I have your email? They're saying, what is your email? So it's like a person comes in the insurance office. We used to have up to 300 phone calls a day. So that's 300 emails that we capture from people that saw my television ad that are calling in for a home or auto quote. So automatically the receptionists are very hungry to get that money. And they would put it into the system too. So they would grab the person's email by asking, and they ask the name, the last name, they ask their cell number to get back to them. There's no friction anymore. People are willing to give their information. And then if they do ask, you said it's for the newsletter, which it is, but then the receptionist was responsible, Doc, for putting it into our particular software. And we've used all kinds of different softwares. There's nothing sexy or fancy there. You can use any, but I would notice at the end of the day that Anne put in 31 emails, Tracy put in 17 emails, and Leanne put in 31. And that's real dollars and cents. And then I would get my group together for our stand-up meeting at the end of the month, where I would hand out bonus checks. And when it came to our receptionists, it was public recognition. It was like, there's a check, Ann, for $511. Thank you. Tracy, there's a check for $330. And Leanne, there's a check for $117. So it became part of our DNA. It became part of our culture. And the type of emails that I write for my guys, like, you're a welcome visitor. Like today, like tomorrow, they're getting a Thanksgiving email, and there's so much fun that our unsubscribes are almost next to nothing. And in my emails, I put like a happy Thanksgiving and whatever. And then in the PS, I just have a light offer. Like we're doing a free exam or 50% off an exam, whatever your clinic is offering. But I mean, email is something that people are happy, especially when you set it up as a welcome guest. They want to hear from their professional service provider.
Yes, they do. You're at the top of their list as far as information. The other box realtors or box retail stores are not. So this is great information. Where do you find a lot of people? What's the resistance to this? Why do you feel like me? My frustration with some of my clients. Where do you feel the overall resistance is? Why don't they get this overall? Why don't people understand this?
Well, I think that people take their marketing advice from their brother-in-law at the Thanksgiving table, or somebody who hasn't been in the game a long time. Like at our last mastermind I had with my small business owners in Orlando last month, complication, like Da Vinci said it best, that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And when I was coaching hockey, it was about simplicity. When I was in the barbershop business, it was about simplicity. No matter what business I'm in. See, I consider myself a tech dinosaur. I call myself an email caveman. And people are like, yeah, but I want to do I want to do a Facebook, and I want to do these videos, and it's all complicated. The big thing, Doc, that people don't understand is when you use social media, you don't own the pipes. Okay. Those pipes belong to the companies that run those, and you're a guest on those platforms. And take it from me, those platforms can be eliminated immediately. You could build up a following on LinkedIn for your clinic, and you could have 2,000 people on there, and you wake up on Friday morning and your LinkedIn profile has vanished and it's never coming back. They own the pipes. When you build an email list, and I use social media to get them off of that swamp into my email list, you own the pipes. So I wouldn't have had an asset to sell for $500,000 if I said to them, oh, I have a following on Twitter or X. But when you have email, you sleep at night because you own the pipes. And the other thing too is small business owners talk about the algorithm. I could care less about the algorithm. I don't participate in any social media. I don't have any of that stuff. All I do every day is email. And I own the pipes. So I post a video every day as an example of my consulting program on YouTube, and I'm a guest there. They can take me off there anytime. But what do I do with every daily video on YouTube? I ask people to join what? My email list. And what's in it for them? They get to join my email newsletter, and they get to download my new book. So I put up a video every single day that I shoot on my iPhone, and I post it every day on YouTube. And every day we average about 71 people that download the book. So 71 people join my email list 365 days a year. But here's the thing. I took them off of somebody else's platform, which is YouTube. I don't own the pipes. And I brought them onto my media that I'm going to have forever, and I'm going to be able to sell someday. So use social media if you want to attract people, but get them the hell off there onto your media where you own the pipes and you can control it. You never have to worry about algorithms again. You never have to worry about waking up and your list is gone. Email is simplicity, and it's the one thing that I do day after day.
Yes. And my take on it from natural healthcare or healthcare in general is you control the pipes. I love this. You can say what you want, and you're smart. You're all doctors. You're not going to say anything silly, but you'll be able to say, get a vitamin D shot, or take more vitamin D, or, people in Canada have been, I don't know if you know this, chiropractors across Canada have been snuffed right out. They're not allowed to say anything. They're not allowed to say, eat your fruits and veggies to stay healthy. Like, that's not in the scope of practice anymore. One of the reasons I you can't say vitamin D is good for babies. You can't say, pediatrics is good for, even for it's crazy. Ask your chiropractor next time you go in Ontario there. It's not, but if you control the pipes, you can say anything you want. They can scrub your website. They can scrub your YouTube. They can scrub your Facebook. They can scrub your ads. Even Google won't let you do weight loss. But if you have your email list, you can put in anything you want in that email list. I know I'm going to get some pushback. They'll be like, you can't even do that, Enrico. I'm like, well, you can. You just have to be smart at how you write the emails and get to the point across. But yes, across all businesses, you get to control even the narrative on here. And all you docs in America, I mean, you're getting RFK to stand up for health here, down here. You're going to open up the floodgates to the truth and to say all the natural things you want to say for people to be healthy. And the nice thing about this audience is that they're not dumb. They're not going to say anything stupid. They're not going to say, drink arsenic, it's good for your health. No one's going to say that. So we know it's all safe here. So look at the potential in this. Control the pipes, control your business. No one else can come in and take it away. It's great. Great tips, Michael. This is a great podcast. What else do you want to leave the audience with? What's the 1-2 punch here
Well, I
when it
want to
comes to
I
email.
want to comment on the RFK thing, because my email today and video that went out, I talked about RFK and I talked about JFK, because JFK in 1960 brought back a health challenge to Americans. And the title of that essay from the president, one of the most popular presidents at the time in 1960, he challenged Americans with an open letter to get their butts in gear and to get in great physical shape. And JFK at the time, he linked it, Doc, to something I never heard of before. He linked it, physical fitness and mental health, to national security. He said, how in the world are we to defend our great country? He was talking to police officers, he's talking to military, he was talking to moms, he was talking to dads. He says, how can we protect freedom if we're not in great condition? Kind of the Vince Lombardi, fatigue makes cowards of us all. And then he said, we need everybody in the best physical shape of their life. And he was dealing with the Soviet Union at the time. And he was saying, listen, these people in the Soviet Union behind the Iron Curtain are in a lot better shape than us. And if it came right down to it, how can we defend? How can we be at our best when we can't run a mile? And that's what he said in his essay. We can't run a mile. So that was JFK in 1960. And America took up the challenge. They started to eat better. But it was like he was a visionary, where he said, the title of the essay was The Soft American. Look it up, The Soft American by JFK. And now here we are, 60 years later, and you've got the greatest opportunity here with RFK. And I wrote about this in my email today. I couldn't write about that, Doc, on social media if I wanted to. But because I own the pipes, I write about whatever I want in my daily email. And what I'm talking about today is, it doesn't matter if it's JFK or if it's RFK. What's most important when it comes to health and fitness is what happens in your house, not the White House. What happens at the kitchen table is more important than happens in the White House. So as much as this is wonderful that he's going to take control here, accountability starts at home. So my point being, I could never have made that post on social media, but because I own the pipes, that was the email that I wrote today. So it's freedom to express, it's freedom to tell the truth. And then at the end of your career, you have this massive asset to sell. And by the way, if you're a clinic owner or a doctor or a dentist or a chiropractor, when your list is built to as few as 25 to 50 people, you don't need to build a list of 60,000. When you get to the 25 to 50 to 100 people and you send out one email, a St. Patrick's Day email or a Super Bowl email, you will be swamped in business. And like I said, you start making money almost after you build your list of 25 people. So anybody can do this, and it's the ultimate sophistication, like Da Vinci said.
It's great. See, control the pipes. I mean, social media can go at any time. I remember during 2020, if I put the stuff we were doing in our practice on social media, we would have been shut down. We would have been completely shut down. But we blew up in 2020 because we were the friendly place that didn't make you wear a mask. If you wanted to wear a mask, wear a mask. But when they came in, the doctor wasn't wearing a mask. They're like, okay, hang on a second. Is this as scary as it really is? And if they asked me to put on a mask, I put it on. In Canada, game over. I would have been losing my mind in Calgary, right? So, but that was it. But if I put that on social media saying, hey, I don't wear a mask, I would have been the villain of the town. So you got to be careful with what you do there. But on your email, you're going to attract everyone that already loves you for who you are and what you offer, and they're going to just follow your ride. So this is such a great opportunity for this. It always has been with email. This is great, Michael. Find Michael on emailmillions.coach. And learn a bunch of stuff. He's got a bunch of free stuff, downloads that you can get there too. And reach out to him if you have any questions. He's a coach as well, specifically for this stuff. I love out of the box coaching, out of the industry coaching as well, because you see a whole different perspective when it comes to the business. In healthcare, we're stuck with the patient service and exams and selling plans and doing all that stuff and upselling the cavities to the root canals. But really, when you think about this outside the industry, I've learned a lot more about business by getting outside of the industry. It's always a great thing. So that's awesome. Thanks for being on the show.
You're welcome. I just, to give a little inspiration to your small business owners and clinic owners, I have written an email every single day for the last 22 years. I've never missed a day whether I was traveling to Naples or traveling to Canada, sick, healthy, happy. It's like brushing my teeth, and I'm no writer. Every day I send out an email. And if your listeners want to join my free email list, they can go to brassballsecrets.com. And every day at 10 o'clock, 7 days a week, I send an email with 3 things that are on my mind with a video. And I do that every single day. And once you get in the habit of writing a simple email, whatever's on your mind, it could be the news, could be the sports. It really doesn't take much to build that writing muscle. But I sit down, Doc, and it takes me about 10 minutes to write my daily email. And I just envision that I'm sitting across from a guy like you, and we're having a sandwich and a beer or a coffee. And I just write one-to-one to my patient or to my client, and then I press send and I send it out. And I mean, it's the 10-minute daily marketing plan. And the chiropractors that come to me, I remember last year I had a guy, and he was doing postcards, and he was doing radio, and he was doing TikTok. And I said to him, Doc, can you do one thing for me the rest of this year? It was 6 months ago. I said, can you just start building your email list and sending an email once a week? That's it. Can you just do that one thing for me? And he said, I'll do that one thing. And I said, stop the rest of the madness. Stop the rest of the madness. And 6 months later, which is coming up January 1st, his practice, he's gone from 40,000 a month in his chiropractic business. He's up in Alaska. He cracked last month for the first time in his career, 100,000 plus month. And the only marketing he's doing, Doc, is email. 1 email per week.
Mic drop. That's it. That's the end of the podcast, folks. You can either do that or choose whatever you want. Perfect. Thanks, Michael. Appreciate your time. We'll do this again. I think we have to do this again. We have to do email marketing 2.0.
Anytime, brother.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks.